Hey there, I'm Ashley, and this is the New Day with Ashley podcast. If you're looking for inspiration from the people in your community that are making a difference, then you're in the right place. Get ready to be encouraged by the stories of my guests who have taken risks, overcome challenges, and created opportunities. It's time to make the most of your new day. If you're a coffee lover like myself, then you know the importance of a really good cup of coffee. So do Skyler and Nicole. Skyler and Nicole Dutton are co-owners, along with Skyler's brother, Dexter, of Thunder Coffee in West Fargo, North Dakota, which happens to be one of my favorite coffee shops. Not only do they serve amazing coffee, but they serve up a lot more for our community. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, and I'm so excited to get to have a few minutes of your time because I know you guys are so busy. So
yeah, we're happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
So walk us through a little bit. Tell us about you guys. You know, who's Skyler, who's Nicole, and then Thunder Coffee.
Sure.
You go
I'm
first.
Nicole.
You're more interesting.
I don't even know where to start. So I met Skyler back in 2014.
And you just loved coffee?
We were actually
Not yet.
not quite yet.
coffee
Yeah.
comes
Okay, we're
later.
jumping ahead.
Yeah.
No, I know.
We were both working in Williston, North Dakota, working in the oil field industry. I was working for Granger selling supplies, and he was working for an oil field supply company, and I was selling him supplies. And he's like, well, maybe I'll have her come back a few more times.
I had actually just got that job. She happened to stop in the first week when I was in that new role. I had worked out in the field doing things that I wasn't really good at, and got moved to the safety manager job. And so she came in to sell me safety supplies, and I was like, great, you sound like you know what you're doing. You should keep coming back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we became friends, and then started dating in 2015. And then we had come back to Fargo several times, and eventually decided to move back to Fargo. And then
Spring of 2016.
yeah, then there was a lot of other stuff that kind of led us to our coffee journey after that. But Skyler can introduce himself.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't know how far back you want to go as far as like job history or anything like that, but because prior to being in the oil field, that wasn't always what I had done. I was in law enforcement for about 10 years. That was where I first got introduced to coffee, and I hated it.
I remember meeting you at the gym or something.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Like, so it was all in that time, I feel like.
Yeah, probably.
'Cause I'm like, all three of us go way back.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way back. Let's not. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to.
We're still young.
You don't want to do you don't want to do that math. It's been a while. And so that was my first like introduction to coffee, really. Other than like the gas station stuff that I would get with my dad at the local Cenex, which was also horrible. And ended up out in Williston. Met Nicole. We came back in 2016, and in 2016. I had done a physique competition.
Yeah.
If you remember that. And my brother Dex had come up to support me at that event. And he'd gotten really into coffee, like into specialty coffee, which was something that was foreign to me. I didn't know anything about it. Yeah. And he was like really into it. He had started getting involved with a barista guild in Oklahoma City, which sounded really fancy. I didn't know what that meant. And so he showed up in Fargo, and he's got all this like fancy homebrew equipment, and he's hand grinding the coffee, and he's going through all this like labor intensive process of like all this for a cup of coffee. We could go get one somewhere. And he makes the coffee, and it was really good. And that was like my light bulb moment where, wow, this is something that I would drink. I would drink this on a regular basis. And because I was in prep, it was just black coffee, had like 5 calories per serving. Like this is, and so I don't know if that played into it. Like anything that remotely tasted good in that final stage of prep, you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Yeah. But it was good. And that started the slippery slope. That was March of 2016. And then, man.
From there, we just kept searching out specialty coffee.
Yeah.
Wherever we were at, we would try to find it. And we kept trying to find like places that had cool drinks or like different flavors of coffee, and not like flavored coffee. It's not like adding vanilla to a coffee, but like really featuring like the natural flavors of coffee, but
Yeah, like they have
not
nuttiness or like a cocoa.
The tasting notes, right?
Yeah. So we kept trying to search for it and find it, and we're like, dang, it'd be really great if there was another coffee shop
That was actually
that we could go to.
Yeah, that was actually part of it too. Was like there is specialty coffee and it exists in Fargo, but it all exists in one part of town, and so that was part of the frustration where we're like, I think we could do something with coffee. And so then I called Dex in like January of 2017. I've got a crazy idea to pitch you. I think we could start our own business and start a coffee shop, but I'm not going to do it without you. So I need you to move up here. And he was currently enrolled in his junior year of college. He says, well, when are you thinking? I'm like, this summer. We could get it going this summer. And he's so don't enroll in your senior year and just come up here.
Stop college.
Yeah.
So that's what he did.
Yeah.
He was like, heck yeah. Didn't enroll for his senior year.
Who wouldn't trust their brother?
Right.
And your older brother.
Yeah. There's a 14-year age gap between he and I. So we didn't really know each other all that well. Hadn't spent a lot of time together. And so he threw everything he could fit into his car and he moved 1,000 miles. Didn't know anybody up here.
Yeah. Lived in our basement.
Yep.
And so are you still working during this time?
At that
So
time
that-
you were.
It plays into the story, right? So it wasn't like I had a nice full-time job and I had this as a daydream that I wanted to do someday. I had some job instability in 2016. 2016 was a rough year. I lost my oil field job. A bunch of us got laid off at the same time. We moved back here. The job I was working at, I actually got fired from. That was a first and a very humbling experience.
Wow.
I got another job and in a much shorter time frame got fired from that one as well. So was sitting there, and that was actually when I was frustrated, sitting there thinking of like, what else can I do? I was filling out unemployment paperwork. It's like, man, instead of begging somebody else for a job, I think I'm going to try to take it into my own hands. At about the same time that I was doing that, and I'd already pitched Dex, and Dex had already decided he was coming up. I did get offered a position as a safety consultant with another group in the state. And so for the first year when we started, I was balancing both things. I was traveling the state, giving safety presentations, and anytime I wasn't doing that, I was doing coffee stuff.
Wow. So lots of challenges even leading up to even getting going, let alone now you're going into a new venture. Have you been a barista before?
Never, no.
Okay.
Neither of us had done anything in coffee. Dex was the
had
only one.
Yeah, he had all the knowledge and all the experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and he's a co-owner. So that's great that you guys did this together. And so now walk us through a little bit about getting the coffee shop going, like Thunder Coffee.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so we very first wanted to open a coffee shop. That was the idea I pitched to Dex. And so we'd driven all around town and we're eyeballing places and got really excited. And then we started finding out about how much rent was. And that
or the
was
cost to build.
Yeah. So there was sticker shock involved at every level. And then it was like, wow, did you know coffee equipment costs so much? And and so we had to pivot right away. And I was listening to another podcast where they talked about this concept of starting small versus starting big. And so it gave me an idea. I pulled over, I called Dex, and I said, hey, still going to do this, but let's start small, and let's start with a mobile cart. And let's just, we'll only serve what we can afford for equipment. So he brought up some of the equipment. We bought some of it secondhand, most of it secondhand, all of it secondhand.
From another coffee shop in town.
Yeah.
Okay.
We bought used equipment or refurbished equipment. And then we got going. He moved up here in May. We served our first cup in July. I think July 7th.
Yep.
Was the date. So it all happened pretty fast. And with this little tiny cart, we had 3 menu items. We could make a hot pour over. We could do cold brew, or we could do an iced latte. So and that's how we got going.
Wow. That is like, and I know I had a cup of coffee early on too, because I remember the mobile.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys still do that.
We do.
I did it this morning.
You did.
So, but you saw like an opportunity.
Yeah.
So you guys went after it, even though there are all these risks. And so now you have this amazing coffee shop in West Fargo and a second location coming.
Yeah. We built out the West Fargo shop in 2019. We finished that one in October was when we opened. And then, we've been running that. And it's
been all roses.
Oh, and COVID made everything perfect and very profitable.
Yeah.
but we made through it. Now we're opening up a second location.
Well, and not even just that. So we opened October 2019, and then COVID happened, and we knew that we needed a pivot. We needed to be able to sell a product that wasn't based on people coming into the shop. So that's when we decided we would add the roastery. Roasting was in the plan, in the business
5 years
plan,
later.
but it was not supposed to be for a long time.
Yeah.
So we just accelerated it, added a couple things fell into place really well, and we were able to add that, and Dex has always wanted to do that.
That's awesome.
So he was the guy. I told him, I'll support it. I will do everything I can to support you in this role, but I don't want to roast the coffee. I don't want to learn anything about it. So
He's the roaster.
he's the roaster.
is,
I don't even know how to turn the thing on. We moved it in, got it all set up, and he's been running with it. He's doing a really good job.
Yeah.
So we added that in 2020, made it through road construction in 2021, and here we are in 2022.
Because you guys are right off of Cheyenne there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
And Cheyenne was torn up all of last year.
And so, for people that maybe haven't been in your coffee shop, and you guys are more than just a coffee shop too.
Try to be.
I mean, the community, you guys do so many different, great things. Can you tell us a little bit about like who is Thunder Coffee too?
Yeah. Well, we do try to help out the community quite a bit. We feel like, our original mission was not just to serve coffee and make money. It was to create a community around coffee, to be of service to people and help others where we can. And so that's definitely been a big area where we focus.
Yeah. We've always been service focused. We want to create a great experience, and part of that experience is the environment. So we want to be welcoming and inviting, and then instead of just being a coffee shop, we wanted to be more. We want to be able to do things in our community or support other nonprofits or support other small businesses. Because we were in that spot where we didn't have a place to operate out of for a little while, and we had other businesses that helped support us and let us brew our coffee there.
Or they'd give us advice, or they'd like cheer us up when we had bad days, all of those things. So
keep brewing. Yeah.
So we want to continue to do those things for other businesses and be a place that nonprofits can gather and help spread awareness for their causes. And so we've just gotten involved in a lot of other things.
Which I think is really cool.
Oh, thanks.
And it's like really inspiring. And I think, you guys have such a cool story of like, trudging through life and then finding this niche and this passion and then like really like, bringing the community and involving them. But, also like just overcoming like all these challenges. So do you guys have like a piece of advice or encouragement for someone else? I'm calling it, make the most of your new day. So like, what's something that you could like encourage someone else?
Sure. Mine might be different than Nicole's. I'll let Nicole go first.
Yeah, maybe you got two nuggets for us. Yeah.
So if it's like business oriented or something along those lines.
Anything your heart desires.
Yeah, I would just say utilize your resources and don't be afraid to reach out to others. I feel like there's so many times where, especially as an entrepreneur, you think like, oh, this is just a problem that I'm going to have to deal with or I'm going to have to face. And a lot of times that's not true. You might have other options, or you might have other resources that could help you, or another business owner that could at least sympathize with what you're going through. That's kind of what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people are afraid to ask for help. And especially like in the same industry, like, you said another coffee shop helped you out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of words of wisdom do you got for us?
I would say that just based on our experience, that a bump in the road does not mean you're at the end of the road, right? We have experienced a lot of different challenges, and that's not just unique to us. That sounds like the way it is for all small business owners. You're going to run into a COVID, maybe, again, I don't know, or a road construction, or your equipment's going to break down, or there's going to be staffing stuff, but or you're going to be forced to close a coffee shop that you bought, and you're going to be homeless for a little while until you build out your own location. There's just going to be different ways that you're going to have to pivot, and just know that, I mean, you got into entrepreneurship, or it's appealing to you because it's a flexible job, right? That's kind of why people want to do it, because I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to do what I want to do. Just know that a good amount of pivoting is going to come with it, right? You just have to be able to go with the flow and not be deterred by the bumps. Just know that it's set you on a different path.
Right. Right. And sometimes those bumps, even though like you might think that it's a negative, in the long run, it can be a positive. It just depends on how things roll. So,
and having perspective, taking yourself out there and looking at the big overview of.
Yes. Yeah, it helps to talk to other entrepreneurs too, and just understand that you're not the only one that has problems or makes mistakes. Because
That's
all
refreshing.
do.
Yes.
Well, because you will end up spending. Your small business ends up being all-consuming. It just does, and you don't get a chance to come up for air a lot. Or even socialize with other people, it seems like. And so it is refreshing to get together with other small business owners and hear there is a lot of shared experience, because in that moment when you're in it, you're going to feel like you're the only person going through this, and nobody else can really relate to what's going on, because your friends that work a 9 to 5 probably won't relate a lot, but other small business owners will.
Right. No, surrounding yourself with those same people.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys so much. How do we get a good cup of coffee? Where do we find you? Or get some beans for at home?
Sure. Well, our website is thunder.coffee. Super easy. And you can order beans from the website there. You can also stop by the coffee shop, which is in West Fargo, 300 Cheyenne Street, just south of Main Avenue. And then we will be in the new Drecker Brewhalla building later this year.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your super busy days and being on the podcast. So,
absolutely.
And thank you for all the wisdom that you have shared. And I really appreciate you guys.
Was that wisdom?
I'm considering it wisdom.
All right. I'll take it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, what a great episode. Thank you so much for joining me for New Day with Ashley. And remember to make the most of your new day.